some time with respect to COCOBOD and some of the decisions that have been made. You also remember that somewhere Wednesday or Thursday, I made a social media post with regard to some conflict of interest positions that have been found by the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of COCOBOD. Today, as the minority, we put the matters into proper perspective. So we are happy that when you called on you were able to make time for us. So for decades, COCOBOD has existed to protect that livelihood. Under the Ghana COCOBOD Act, COCOBOD regulates licensed buying companies, which all of us call it LBCs, supervises warehouses, enforces quality control standards, and safeguards the integrity of Ghana's cocoa exports. Article 36 of the 1992 Constitution mandates the state to safeguard the national economy and manage our resources in the public interest. It is against this background that we address you today. You recall that my office formally petitioned the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice to investigate serious allegations involving Mr. Ato Boateng, the acting Deputy Chief Executive in charge of Finance and Administration at COCOBOD. Public records show that Mr. Boateng previously served as the Chief Executive Officer of Atlas Commodities Limited in 2018. And I have in my hands here a document from the Registrar General's Department that shows who has been the owner and the directors of the Atlas Commodities Limited. They are all here with me. There are documents that I also shared on my Facebook wall. Today, that same person occupies one of the most powerful financial and administrative offices within COCOBOD, the institution mandated under law to regulate cocoa buying companies. Under the Ghana COCOBOD Act, COCOBOD is a regulator. It is not a competitor. You cannot be a referee and be a player at the same time. You cannot be a regulator and be a competitor at the same time. Article 284 of the 1992 Constitution clearly prohibits a public officer from placing himself in a position where his personal interest conflicts or is likely to conflict with his official duties. The standard or the threshold that has been established by the 1992 Constitution is very clear. There needs not be a wrongdoing, but the likelihood of you positioning yourself that ordinary bystanders can see through it and say that the position that you find yourself is one that is likely to conflict with your official position is enough for the law to hold your hands. I repeat, there needs not be a wrongdoing. The standard that has been set by the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana is that you do not have to put yourself in a position that will conflict with your official position. Reports indicate that a PBC regional manager who was led by the officers from the PBC headquarters under an operation that was carried by the PBC headquarters lodged a complaint at the Kajebi police station concerning alleged irregular operations involving Atlas Commodities Limited. This is something that we should get clear. PBC is a government-owned enterprise or government-owned entity. LBCs are for the private, that is the privately owned enterprises. So if government, that is COCOBOD, secures money to be able to buy cocoa, it is proper that COCOBOD does not deprive PBCs, which is the government-owned entity, to be able to buy cocoa. So it is possible that COCOBOD may decide to give some amount of the money to PBC and also give some to LBCs. But in these circumstances, PBCs are deprived of resources or monies that they are able to use to buy cocoa. It is on that basis that officers of PBC headquarters underwent an operation to see what was happening at the Kajebi district warehouses belonging to PBC. It is further reported that this complaint led to the interception of trucks and cocoa believed to be linked to Atlas Commodities. And I also have in my hands some of the trucks that have been arrested belonging to Atlas Commodities. The numbers are here. And these trucks have been intercepted by the national security. About 4 of them is currently parked at the Tema Port as we speak. The number of the truck is AS214713. This is a truck that is belonging to the Atlas Commodities Limited. Additionally, we have received reports that national security has intercepted 4 trucks at the Tema Port carrying cocoa reportedly connected to these operations and allegedly transported through structures associated with state operational systems. Before you are given a license by the COCOBOD, there is a prerequisite that you need to meet. The prerequisite is that you need to have a warehouse before you can be given a license by COCOBOD. Without a warehouse, you do not have a license. So the big question is, how did Atlas Commodities Limited find itself in the warehouses that is belonging to PBC? Or how did Atlas Commodities find itself operating in an arena that it did not have a license to operate? These developments elevate the seriousness of the matter. It can be said on authority that Atlas Commodities Limited has operated within warehouses registered under PBC. Appendix 1, subsection 2 of the Regulations and Guidelines for the Internal Marketing of Cocoa 2015 states that all storage sheds shall be inspected for their suitability by the managing director, that is for the Quality Control Company QCC, or an officer acting on his behalf, and a certificate of registration shall be issued if conditions are ideal and in accordance with the cocoa industry regulations. That is 1916 LI 598, or other relevant or applicable regulations or guidelines, and that the certificate issued shall be applicable to the shed to which it refers and shall not be transferable. Under COCOBOD regulations, each licensed buying company must operate within warehouses registered in its own name. Warehouses registered under PBC must not be used by another company for storage, grading, sealing, or processing of cocoa. We also have in our hands receipts that actually shows that some of the sealings were done at the PBC warehouses belonging to Atlas Commodities Limited. These cocoa were found at the warehouses belonging to PBC, but the sealings are sealings for Atlas Commodities Limited. And these are some of the sealings that we found at the PBC warehouses. In fact, these are documents that have also been lodged with the Kajebi police station, a report or a complaint that was made by the officers of PBC. In fact, we went further to ask for photos or photographs of some of the cocos that were sealed with the tags of Atlas Commodities, just so we could be sure that indeed these cocoa were found at the warehouses of PBC. In fact, these are some of the pictures of the cocoa that were found at the warehouses of the PBC, which PBC is not happy about. PBC, of course, works with COCOBOD, or if like it is under COCOBOD. Reports further indicate that these alleged activities may be taking place in parts of Central Region, Eastern Region, and Volta regions, raising concerns about the scope of the operations. There are also troubling reports that some PBC workers reportedly have not been paid for extended periods, at least for a period of 1 year. The reason why PBC workers are not paid is that when government gets the money, it does not give the money to PBC to go and buy cocoa, so that government will be able to get some margins off it. If you get margins, that is when you'll be able to get money to be able to pay your workers. Now PBC is starved, is deprived with resources that will allow them to be able to operate, and those monies are given to LBCs. LBCs, a chunk of it belong to Dr. Atoforsen or Mr. Atoforsen, who is a Deputy Chief Executive of COCOBOD. The bigger question is, Ato Boateng, at the time when COCOBOD is reportedly struggling to meet financial obligations to cocoa farmers, the perception that private commercial activities may be thriving within the regulated space under questionable circumstances, which is deeply troubling. Cocoa farmers are sacrificing daily to sustain the economy. Regulatory leadership must not create even the appearance of benefiting from the same system they supervise. You cannot benefit from the same system that you yourself are supervising. You cannot create a system whereby you will deprive the state from operating to be able to earn margins, to be able to give to the state, so that the state can also pay its workers, and direct or indirectly siphon those monies into the pockets of an individual. Which individual is Mr. Ato Boateng? As a minority, we demand the following. We demand a full criminal investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We demand a constitutional conflict of interest determination by SHRAJ. We also demand a forensic audit of warehouse registrations and cocoa movement records. The minority is also demanding for a full disclosure from COCOBOD, national security, and relevant authorities. We are also demanding that action in accordance with the law if wrongdoing is established. If there is no wrongdoing, investigation will clear the air. But if wrongdoing is confirmed, accountability must follow. Cocoa is too important to Ghana's rural economy to allow regulatory compromise. The farmers deserve protection. The nation deserves transparency. The Constitution demands compliance. The minority is also demanding a compensation that will have to be paid by Atlas Commodities Limited to the PBCs, because they have used the warehouses of PBCs, warehouses belonging to PBC, to operate and make margins or make profit, denying or depriving the state from those resources. We will pursue this matter until the truth is fully established. Thank you so much for coming.